Heyo, it's Tim at Beansay, and today we're going to look at basically maintaining your sanity in X4. It doesn't come set out of the box to protect your ships from enemies, and a few other behaviors that you might think would be default are not. So let's go ahead and set those at the beginning of every new game or as soon as you can within a game. If you go to the map, if you look, there's a little person here that says player information, and we can go to the global orders menu, and this is where all the magic happens. The easiest way to get started are with trade rules. So we're going to create one called self, and we're going to make this apply to the sale of ships because I don't want AI to buy my ships from me without me being ready for it. We're going to restrict all factions except for my own. And then sometimes it's helpful to have one that is not self, for instance, for trade stations. And that's where you restrict only your own faction. And then you can do the same for blacklist, right? For ships, you can have trade restrictions. For self, and then you can create one for not self here, in case you ever wanted to do that. Then something I find extremely helpful. Instead of self, you do one called safe. That's a blacklist that applies to sector travel for military and civilian ships that and don't travel through sectors that contain dangerous regions or enemies. You can also add sectors here. So if you have a ship get blown up in, say, Hatikvas, you can add Hatikvas here as a sector, and then they won't travel there anymore. And then I have another one for safe that is for sector activities. So not only do we not want them to travel through the sectors, we don't want them to trade or mine in those sectors. And you might be asking, well, why did Egosoft split this? The answer is it's actually helpful to have this granular level of control. So we're going to apply it to military and civilian ships, and we're going to do sectors owned by enemies. And that should protect your ships. They're not going to travel or do activities in sectors that are owned by enemies, and they're not going to travel in sectors that have dangerous regions. And then we have our self-trade rules. So the only thing we're really waiting on are the global standing orders. This looks different in version 7 than it does in version 6. I'm on the beta actually. So uh, you might have to modify this a little, but this is the idea. In 7, you have your civilian ships on top and your military ships on bottom. So for the default response to attack, I prefer civilian ships to escape and deploy laser towers while military ships should use their own judgment. Found abandoned ships, let's claim those suckers, and this might be a good reason to run, say, Marines in submarines in your ships instead of 100% service crew, so they can claim those ships. And then found lockboxes, collect those, but don't tell me about it. We will go manually get the inventory from the captains as they pop up using teleport, and I'll show you kind of how to find those ships at least here in a minute. Default global response to pirate harassment. Escape and deploy laser towers. We can always override this, right, when it happens, but the default, get out of there for all ships. Because pirates sometimes use destroyers, and if you have a military, fighter or freighter, I don't know what military ship would be harassed by pirates, but if you had one, for instance, they might be overpowered, and it's probably best just to get out of there. Found contraband. I select destroyed drop crates. I don't know, there might be a better option here, but this cleans up the universe, so I select that. And then obviously comply when it comes to police interdiction, but do not notify me. Preferred build method, if you know you're going to go Terran, then select Terran. Otherwise, closed loop is nice because it will make, for instance, missiles that you're replenishing from only E cells. It doesn't require other components. So that's pretty helpful. Automatic resupply, I like high. You might want medium or low even, but high says, if you fire a few missiles, go replenish them. If you're hurt a little bit, go get healed. Just stay in tip-top shape, and that includes retreating from the line of fire to refresh and resupply. So anyway, I don't know if high is best. That's what I prefer. I prefer my ships to always be ready to go. And then for the ship, weapon, and turret behavior, I'm trying shoot missiles first. This might change in the future. Play around with this, but Yeah, why not have something that starts at the bottom and works its way up, right? If a missile's firing at you, take it out, then work on fighters and capital ships. Marooning protection, I'm going to disable these. You might want to keep them because you will get left behind by your ships. And if you don't have teleport, this is kind of a pain. I won't turn these off if I don't have teleport. Don't tell me if you're out of ammo, just go get more ammo. Don't tell me if the trade was successful, if you're starting a wire transfer, if you're awaiting orders. And then, by all means, get rid of these ticker notifications. But I do want to know if my reputation was gained or lost, or if a ship or station was destroyed. All right, so now your empire is set up and it will be running smoothly. And ships should not be suiciding by going through dangerous regions or running into enemies. And they should do what you expect them to do when they have these expected situations, like in the global standing orders. So now you might be wondering, well, how do we know if a ship has collected a lockbox? You can actually go into the map, go to your ships, and then click this little box, and any ships that have inventory that have collected lockboxes will appear here, and you can teleport to them, talk to the captain, and get their inventory from them. So, anyway, that's the global orders. That's what I recommend setting up in every new game because it provides safe and sane defaults for your ship's AI behaviors, which will definitely help you manage an empire and be a little less frustrated with ships that just run off and get exploded for no reason. Take care.